Welcome to Real Estate is Hot, Fundraising is Not, where we are just pulling back the curtain and letting the whole population know that gifts of real estate can be so easy for everyone involved. And we want to talk about the benefits. And today we have the privilege of Dr. Russell James helping our nonprofit friends understand why this is such a benefit to them. Dr. James.
Thanks for inviting me. I'm looking forward to talking about this, one of my favorite topics.
Well, we know that you are, teaching all over the country, nonprofits, financial advisors, all the people involved. What do the nonprofits need to know about charitable gifts of real estate, especially when they don't even take title or have any skin in the game?
Yeah, so that's the really important part to start out with, is to understand that this is not your grandfather's real estate gift. Okay. So, there are a lot of nonprofits, CFOs, administrators who just, it's a frightening word. It's this idea of, oh, real estate, isn't there like liability, and we're going to have to manage things. And, they just, oftentimes they won't even bring up the topic because of this nervousness of dealing with it and all of the concerns. But things are very different today because of a variety of organizations, realty gift funds and other that will accept that real estate. They'll deal with all of the management, all of the sales processes. And the great thing is the nonprofit, they actually never even appear on the title. So there's not this concern of environmental liability and CERCLA rules and, all of that sort of thing. And so really all the nonprofit gets is a great big old check. So it's not something that we would have been talking about, say, 30 years ago. And so one of the problems with nonprofits is this kind of deer in the headlights fear. Oftentimes they've maybe had this information passed down from previous administrators that applied to a different world, but doesn't apply today. So the bottom line is working with a donor to go through one of these donor advised funds that specializes in these kinds of transactions. You can work with them so that the nonprofit has essentially zero hassle in this process. However, it is super powerful from a fundraising context, because if you want to get to those really large gifts, those gifts are not going to come from disposable income. They're going to come from wealth. And if we're going to be talking about gifts from wealth, we need to be able to have some conversations about real estate, because real estate, when it comes to financial wealth held by households in this country, it's the 800-pound gorilla, right? It's where those resources really are. And wow, you talk about what's been happening to the market right now. Real estate is going like a rocket. Stock market's kind of going the other direction. So really we, even if you haven't been doing it before, you need to learn this language of talking about real estate and real estate gifts, especially for those major transformational gifts from the donors.
Well, you wrote the foreword for our book, Real Estate is Hot, Fundraising is Not. You mentioned that this is the big gorilla in the room, and that, not only nonprofits, but real estate agents are kind of confused about it. When we talk to the nonprofits, none of them think it's a bad idea. They just don't know what to do with it. And so often we hear basically what's next. And we say to them, well, what's next is to tell your donors. But like you said, there's this deer in the headlights thing going on. So when they say what's next, and we say tell your donors, and there's nothing that happens, how do we help them move forward?
So what I would suggest is to start really simple. And what you want to do is to share stories of other donors who have made gifts like this, and to share how advantageous it is for those donors, that it's actually a smarter way to give. And maybe it's a story of a donor who has a vacation home and they're sort of tired of the maintenance on it, and they don't, they're not really going to want to use that anymore, or something that, they are, the kids aren't going to want to have, they're not going to want to manage or deal with, whatever the case may be. You just want to start sharing stories, because psychologically, the message that we want to communicate to the donors is not only that this is a smarter way to give, but also that people like them make gifts like this. So, if you have to start out with it, it can be stories of donors. You could be a donor to another organization. You don't need to mention that in your story, but we really just want to share stories, and fundraisers are great at sharing stories. The problem is that if some of them think that, oh, I'm going to have to know all these rules about a 1031 exchange and the, tax consequences and all of this, and then they just don't talk. They just get silent. Nope. Their advisors will tell them about that. They won't. So they do need to bring that up, but just bring it up in terms of stories. And in fact, I would even recommend, if someone's working with you or another one of the real agents of change, ask them for stories. Like, what story can I share of someone who's had a good experience with this? You can share those stories in print, in conversation, in different media, and also always have a person that you can contact. And here's the other thing, I think the one piece of advice I would give to nonprofits, give to fundraisers, is to understand the goal of the conversation. The goal of your conversation with the donor is to get them to agree to the next meeting at which you can present some options for their real estate gifting if they're considering doing that. That then gives them time to talk with folks who are used to these sort of transactions, answer all the questions, get some details down, and to be able to come back to present to the donor. So it's okay if you bring up the topic and they ask you some hyper technical question you don't know the answer to. That's great. That's just another reason why you should get together in a couple of weeks and you'll talk with some of your experts and make sure we come up with the answers to all of that. And that gives the fundraiser some time to put together some details of the transaction. Also, once that donor agrees to meet, that gives you the perfect excuse to get all the details, like, when did you buy it, and tell me the story, and where's it at, and anything else I should know, all of that sort of thing. So those are some things I would suggest.
I love that you go back to the 4 S's, which we mentioned over and over in Real Estate is Hot, Fundraising's Not. And I'd love for you to actually plug some of your new material. I've been looking at it on your LinkedIn, different ways of talking about fundraising and the Socratic fundraiser. Can you share the name of your most recent resources and how people can get those?
Sure, absolutely. So you're right. The most recent one's called the Socratic Fundraiser. It's about how to raise money, in particular major gifts of assets, by asking questions. Right? We're just assisting the donor. We're there as that guiding sage to help them give smarter. And it's part of a 4-book series. And if you connect with me on LinkedIn, I'll share the digital and audio copies for free. Or you can get them on Amazon as well. If you want to kill some trees and have the paper version, that's there as well. But no, I'm happy to share that with any folks who have interest. Easiest way for me is if you happen to be on LinkedIn, just connect with me there. Otherwise, you can send me an email and I'll send you links to those as well. So the series is the Storytelling Fundraisers, number 1, the Epic Fundraiser, all about the donor's hero story, is number 2, the Primal Fundraiser, which is why do we even give things to other people to start with, and then the last most practical one is the Socratic Fundraiser, how we can ask questions to inspire these major gifts of assets.
Well, thank you for always being a massive resource in these conversations. And this is video 1 of a series of videos with Dr. Russell James. We will also be doing one regarding how to talk to the donors themselves. We'll be doing one for the real estate agents and how these are legacy listings. And we'll talk to the financial advisors and have that conversation in the next few of the series. Thank you very much, Dr. James, and we'll see you on the next episode of Real Estate is Hot, Fundraising's Not. See you guys later. Bye.